let it go.
And that's how we open up today's episode.
I love it. Actually, I'm keeping that. Yes, keeping it. Hello, I'm Courtney, and I am here with my fabulous co-host, Erin. Today we're getting real about why so many of us leave the classroom and why we did too. Today's episode is brought to you by my book, Things Preschool Teachers Really Say. Yes, I am being our own sponsor today. How you doing today, Erin?
Well, good. And while, yes, you are a fabulous writer, I can also be the other sponsor of today's episode for the other adventure that we're currently on with our brand new podcast of Honestly, We're a Mess.
Yes, every time we say that's for another podcast, that is the podcast we are referring to.
Yes, 3 women, 3 different stages of life. We have a single mama, a newlywed, and a happily married queen. It is not for people who want polished advice. We're a little bit fucked up and we're a little bit messed up, and come on and join us.
Yes, ma'am. I love it. So, Erin, what was your first sign that you should leave the classroom?
Which time? I left the teaching world, a couple of different times. But that final straw was when I worked at said name place, on which we talked about quite in depth last week.
Yes.
There was, it just kept piling up and piling up and piling up. But if we were going to rewind this a little bit, before I got the job at said name place, I did a stint at the old school I used to teach at, and I was a K through 5th grade art teacher, which I absolutely loved. I knew that school very, very well. That school really brought into light my love and passion for education. And the babies I used to have in kindergarten were now in like 5th and 6th and 7th and 8th grade. Like, yes. Well, there was one day I was walking back up to my classroom to get set up, and I ran into one of the moms, and she was giving me a hug, and we were catching up about how her twins were now like in middle school. And that was like, it blew my mind. And I shamelessly said, hey, I'm always looking for a job if you ever have something. She goes, I'm going to keep you in mind. So she found a job for me at one of the small little theaters in Durham, but that unfortunately fell through. And I ended up getting the job at the said name place until one day, after everything was piling up, and piling up, I get a Facebook message from this mom saying, hey, my husband's biotech company is actually looking for somebody and he wants to talk to you. And which was such a cool thing. And, obviously we talked a little bit, and he invited me to come tour his facility. And obviously I said I had a couple doctor's appointments at my one job, and I drove 10-15 minutes down the road, and he actually offered me a job that day. And he said he wanted to hire me because not only he wanted to help a single mom, but he said it was due to my personality and how I helped his babies, and he wanted to give back. And, he didn't tell his kids that they hired me. So the day that I started working there, a little bit of time passed, and his kids came to visit, and they saw me, and when I say freak the fuck out, like there was squealing, there was yelling, there were hugs, there were tears. It was such I knew these babies when they were 5 years old, and now they're taller than me, and, these miniature adults, and they refused to call me by my name, Erin. I said, now that we're out of school, you can call me Erin. And they said, no, 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 that is not who you are. Your name is Mrs. my last name. And so then everyone at work started calling me that. But yeah, that's why I left. It was almost like this really big full circle moment in my life, working at said name place. It just kept beating you down and down and down and down, and then stuff in my personal life, it just kept beating me down and down and down and down and down. And then it was when it was that moment of when I got that job offer and hearing why he wanted to hire me. It was that impact that I finally realized that I had on not only these kids, but these families.
Yeah.
And so that was such a cool, just full circle moment for me. And that's why I left,
Makes sense.
which, yeah, which is
Yeah.
so cool. And I know that I stuck around a little bit at said name place because obviously my child was there until I left. And then I know that you and we had the conversations of, you wouldn't leave my son there. But as soon
Hmm.
as I pulled my son, you ended up leaving. So
I sure did.
what was that straw that broke your back?
The straw that broke my back was like long before you pulled your son out. I think it was like you said, things piled and piled and piled. At one point, I found out that everybody but me got a raise. I started getting blamed for things that weren't my fault, and there was camera proof that they weren't my fault. But
Gotta love Cam.
they did try at first, and then you pull up the footage and it's not my fault. But I realized I couldn't be at a place that didn't bring me joy anymore. And as much
Yeah.
as I love those kids, it's not a reason to stay.
Nope, it's really not. But you, from said name place, I know you went to a couple other places, right?
Yeah.
And then was it kind of the same reasons on why you left, or was it a completely different reason on why you left education completely?
Why I left education completely was a totally different reason. I was at a place that I actually loved it
Mm-hmm.
there. Loved the families, loved the kids. I had such a fun time there. But admin, it comes down to admin. And we had a no gossip policy, which I feel like is a pointless policy because people
It
are
is.
still going to gossip.
Yes, they are.
But it was getting to the point where I was getting gossiped about to a point of detriment. And I wanted to pull myself out before it became something that could ruin my entire future.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a really hard choice. I had a lot of conversations with a lot of people before I pulled the trigger on it. But ultimately I needed to keep myself safe and
Absolutely.
go out on a good note with the families. And like you said, I feel like I really realized how much of an impact I made after I left because they kind of pulled me out a day before I was supposed to. And so I didn't get a chance to say goodbye to my kids.
That's heartbreaking.
And so I decided on my own to put together a goodbye party for the kids. I got the class list from one of the parents and I emailed, and I had this moment of panic where I was like, "Oh, these parents are going to think I'm weird. They're going to get this invite and be like, "No, she's weird." And then I got so many RSVPs, yes. And when I met with the parents that day, they were all like, I mean, I got the sweetest cards about how I changed their kids' lives, how I
Aw.
helped impact them in such positive ways. I went home and I was just bawling reading these cards. And
Yeah.
so I realized that, like, me leaving on my own was the best choice I could have made.
Absolutely. When it comes down to admin and your own mental health, like we really have to sit and look at what's going to be best for us.
Hmm.
As much love and care that we pour into all these babies, whether they're, in your case, the miniature humans that are just learning how to be human, or, the older ones who would look down upon me because they're taller than me. Like, the big impacts that we don't fully see, and it does really make you, I think, wonder, do I stay because of this, or is it better for me to leave?
Yeah.
So you've been out of the game for a little bit now. Where has your life kind of taken you since stepping out?
I have started going to school to be a play therapist, but
Yay.
I also have written two books, two children's
Ooh.
books, The Adventures of the Whisker Squad and Things Preschool Teachers Really Say, which is inspired by some of the absolute nonsense I've had to say, which is where we got the name for this podcast, Things Teachers
Yep.
Really Say, because we say some crazy things at work in those 8 hours.
Yes, yes, we do. I
And
mean,
now I'm doing two podcasts with Miss Erin.
I know we're a little bit crazy, but
What have
that's
you all taken on?
I raised my son full time. After teaching, I stepped out of biotechnology after I did that for a few years. And I actually stepped into drug development, and I
Hmm.
work in the pharmaceutical world. And I still go to Disney just as much. Now that I have like more adult money, yeah, I do go to Disney. And then I got a message from somebody saying, "Hey, do you want to start a podcast?" And so we started Things Teachers Really Say. And I know we kind of bounced around the ideas of, we were going to originally just do preschool. And then I was like, I have an interesting insight because like I have a lot of different educational standpoints. So let's broaden it. And then, a few weeks later, I was like, guess what? You want to do a podcast with me? And that one's a lot more, honestly, Where a Mess was born because, having three different women who I've known for many, many years, and you just met Jackie, like, but navigating not only just life, but work and dating or marriage and everything that teachers are not supposed to talk about in the classroom. We are talking about on this podcast, but in a really unfiltered, raw way.
Yes.
So that's kind of what I've been up to.
Well, don't forget the part where you absolutely kicked ass at school between your bio job and your
Okay.
drug job.
So my drug job, I'm not a dealer.
Yeah, I thought it was just funnier to say it though.
Rally PD, please don't come at me. No, so yes, I kind of blocked that moment out in my life. But yes, I was raising my son full time. I was working a full-time job, and I decided I was actually having a conversation with my uncle who's been in the pharmaceutical industry for many, many years. He said, "Hey, if you finish out your degree," he goes, "let's talk." So, full-time raising my son, full-time working, and I completed 47 credit hours in 9 months.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, I did. That doesn't even end the craziness because on top of all that, I started doing an internship with my uncle every weekend, devoting Saturdays and Sundays to learning more about the pharmaceutical industry and stuff. So I now have a bachelor's in education, kindergarten through 8th grade, which they call that they call that just elementary education. And I'm like, how is that elementary education? Middle school, but okay. And I would never ever teach middle school. They're taller than me. No. I will stick with the littles. I prefer the littles. But no, I did do all that. I blocked it out because it was I don't even remember what I did. I just did it.
Though.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I know in a sense I didn't have a choice. I want to provide a good life for my child. And it also shows, some of the other students who I've impacted, if they ever reach out, or even when my son, gets to a point one day where he really doesn't know what to do, or if he has too much going on, it's just simple reminder of you put your mind to it and you're gonna get it done.
Yes, ma'am.
But now, like I said, I work from home. I get to create my own hours. I get to sit and talk with you multiple times a week now with both podcasts. So we get to bug each other all the time now.
I love it.
I do too. So, but it's fun. And now you're like writing books and about what we say a lot.
We sure do.
That is for sure. I'm trying to think, what has been one of the most craziest things that you have ever said? That's what I'm trying to think of.
Oh gosh. They're all in the book, but if I had to pick like a top three,
Right.
I would have to say it was, what do you mean you took the poop out of your pants and hid it?
I do not want to know the answer to that.
Let me just tell you, it involved three teachers searching for this poop out in the playground, and we never found it.
That's kind of terrifying.
Yeah.
That's a horror movie in which nobody wants to live through.
No, no. But we did have to tell all the teachers on the playground because we were threes, but we were on the playground with babies too. And we had to be like, babies put everything in their mouth.
Oh, shit. Takes on a whole new meaning.
Exactly. What do you think the craziest thing is you said?
I'm sitting here trying. Maybe during my time when I was a gymnastics coach, we were forced into running summer camps.
Mm-hmm.
And I was known as the bad cop because I did not put up with anything. Well, we had this one kid who refused to be called by his name, his government name. And he would only wanted to be called like Red Star. I don't remember exactly what it was. And I'm not going to directly say what it was, but we'll go with Red Star. Right? He believed he was an alien from another.
Right, right.
Mom and Dad called him Red Star. Well,
Enablers.
big time. Well, me and Red Star, we would butt heads a little bit, and I had all the kids lined up, and it was in that moment Red Star was really doing things that he really shouldn't, and with a straight face. And this kid was maybe 8, 9 years old. He knew right from wrong. He
Right.
knew what he could do and what he couldn't do. Good old Red Star started doing something, and I have a loud voice, and all of a sudden you hear me go, Red Star, we know better, and we do not need to lick people next to us if we don't like them. Meanwhile, yes, that is exactly what happened with some of the other coaches. She started laughing, and obviously, I cannot keep a straight face if I have another adult laughing. Like, let me be bad cop. Don't start laughing. So I started getting on her. I was like, no, you can't start laughing because then that breaks it. Yeah, so Red Star was definitely, I mean, he tried to convince me at one point. He told me, which was crazy, a crazy thing to say, was that he was able to make the rules because he was older than me. Because on his planet,
Oh.
he was so many years old, which meant that he was in charge. I really try and make it an effort to not laugh in kids' faces. I could not help myself at that moment, and meanwhile, I'm just sitting there minding my own, trying to build a cardboard goat. Real
As one
story,
does.
as one does. And it did work, by the way.
I
You
love
were able
that.
to milk the cardboard goat, by the way.
Nice.
And I have Red Star sitting there telling me that he's going to make the rules and do whatever he wants because he's older than me, because on his planet.
Yeah. Well.
Well, yes, that's my life, folks.
So
No,
go ahead.
no, what, no, what?
Oh, I did want to ask, did you ever have a moment after stepping away from education, like a small moment of like panic maybe where you're like, should I have done this?
Absolutely. There's always those moments every now and then. Like, I do miss working with kids. I miss it a ton because obviously the stories are going to be better at the end of the day. The stories I have now are, oh, I got 150 emails when I was away, like out of office for a week. And, yes, I work with people all over the world and I talk with them, but it doesn't beat, being told like your coffee wasn't working yesterday. So we made our moms buy you a coffee today to make sure that it worked. Like, there's different things that really just hit differently. So
Yeah.
yeah, there's always moments in which I do miss it. I miss working with the littles and hearing them. But then I think, when you answer this, you're going to agree with, you don't miss the drama, you don't miss the bad admin, you don't miss,
Yeah.
the unappreciative aspects of these jobs. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, being a teacher is very, very underappreciated.
But do you miss it at times?
Oh, all the time. All the time. Ever since I was little, it was my dream to be a teacher. That's always the job I wanted. So because as you said, I've been to three different places. And this last time when I decided to step away from education altogether, I was like, what am I doing? This is my dream. This has been my dream since I was little. I played school. I was that kid. Like, what am I doing stepping away from it and going into something else entirely? And then I remember like how bad the bad is.
Yes.
And it's draining and I would get burnt out and crying on my lunch break or crying in the bathroom because you can't even make it to lunch.
That is true, yeah.
So I needed to take control of my life is what it felt like because it felt like the education system had control of me and I needed to take control of my own life again. I'm in my 30s now, my early 30s, and I feel like I'm becoming a different person and I needed to be able to control that person. And I couldn't do that working in education.
Yes, instead of us crying in the bathroom, now we cry in our home office.
Yes, to each other.
Each other. Ain't that the damn truth now? No, I feel that where it's almost like you need to like test yourself because
Hmm.
to be in education, to work with kids, because you're not just working with kids, you're working with parents. It takes certain people to be able to do it. And just because, and correct me if I'm wrong, But just because we stepped away, it doesn't mean that we're not cut out for it. There's just major flaws in this system that
Yes.
is not supportive to like these teachers who really want to make an impact, which I
Yeah.
feel like is a reason a lot of teachers are stepping away.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy if you think about it, but there's moments that I miss it. But as I, sit and reflect at night, okay, let's be honest, as I sit and I watch TV after laundry, everything's done, you know, I still am able to make these certain impacts. I still go to the martial arts school. A lot of these kids who are now in college, they somehow feel the need to follow me on social media. I don't know why, or I run into parents. I ran into one mom at the beach, out of all places. And also with my son, it's really given me different platforms to be able to speak up for his needs
Yeah.
and stuff. And even with having all this years of experience, I know my sister who has struggled with getting some help for her child, she'll call me and to figure out how to word stuff to be able to present it to the principal or the school psychologist or the teacher.
Right.
So it does provide good attributes to your life, but I feel like there really needs to be some major changes to help support teachers
Agreed.
because it's bad.
Yeah. My lead teacher has been teaching for so long, longer than I've been alive. And she told me that this year was the first year she's actually felt burnout. And it was a lot. We had quite the classroom of 18 kids. I'd say about 9 had special needs. We were not a special needs classroom. We were not a special needs school, but the two of us had to figure it out together.
Yep.
And we didn't have the support. I mean, sure, there was a therapist here and there that would come in, but they weren't there to support us. They were there for the kid, obviously. But I mean, it would have been great if we knew how to help these children. And instead, it was just figure it out.
But I also think now the breed of child is definitely different. These COVID babies, everyone jokes about how they're different.
Yeah.
But, I have this weird perspective because I was in the education world before COVID. And now seeing it, there is a huge difference. And I don't think that there's enough support for all these COVID babies. Now, granted, I'm raising a COVID baby.
Right.
Like, I had my son in the middle of COVID where you could only have one visitor in the hospital room after you gave birth. Your spouse couldn't even be with you in your pregnancy appointments. So these kids, their social skills, and I speak from this, I have a child who was in it. Their social skills are a little bit different because
Yeah.
they weren't exposed. So I think that also has a major play in it because there's not that much support with okay. What was I saying? So, when you are raising a COVID baby, and even when you're teaching them, I feel like there wasn't enough support for teachers coming in. And now, granted, these COVID babies are stepping into elementary school now,
Hmm.
stepping into kindergarten. Granted, mine's going to be going into kinder next year. Pray for that teacher. But I feel like there needs to be way more support
Yes.
with everything because I know there was like a decline in putting kids in daycare. There's been a lot of these kids are a lot more isolated
Mm-hmm.
and they only know their siblings. If they don't know their siblings and they only know each other because they're an only child, there's a lot of factors that go into it because developmentally, kids need other kids to play with,
Yes.
to grow, to expand their mind. One of the greatest things that another teacher was telling me about, and she has been a teacher for many, many years, she's noticed that the decline in children's imagination has gone down, that children are not playing pretend as much.
No.
Because, granted, whether I think it's because we allow kids to sit there on the tablet, they're able to figure stuff out a lot quicker. Those skills of playing pretend, those problem solving, critical thinking skills that get developed from playing pretend, and that imagination and creativity, they're slowly declining. And I think COVID really put a huge block in that, because now you're just stuck at home. Parents are trying to work, and so they're slowly relying on technology
Yeah.
to help. And, I'm not harping on parents. My son has a tablet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, my son uses it. Like, you do you, boo boo. As long as your child is healthy, safe, whatever, I don't care.
Exactly.
So I'm not harping on the parents that do. But one thing that I really have enforced with my child, and my sister and my mother have noticed it, is that my son can play pretend like no other.
Yes, he can.
To the point where we were in Trader Joe's and I had to tell him that the sign said no werewolves allowed, because he will start to like wiggle and move and arms are going up and all of a sudden he's a werewolf. And then like after a few minutes he'll like shake his head and he'll be like, "Oh, Mama, there you are." No. So when I say he commits, like he commits,
He does.
which is so great to see. And even my sister was saying, like, because she has two older children, that my son can play pretend. And so it took her a little bit, because he also, his newest thing is he's Dr. And then he says his name, Dr. Little Man. And so there was one time we were playing pretend and I said, "Oh, Dr. Little Man, my leg hurts." And he goes, "Oh, come here, patient." And he has me sit, and then all of a sudden he's pulling out his like play toolkit, like drills, screwdrivers, saws, like hammers, and he starts like looking at my leg, going, and like the hands like going up to the chin. And then he'll put his finger up in the air. "Oh, I know." And then he starts like sawing my leg, screwing it with screwdrivers, like, and then he'll put his hand on my shoulder and he'll be like, "You're all better now. Bye." I'm like, "Yeah, just like a real doctor, like
Fixed it.
fixed it all done." So I think that's one aspect that I miss kids seeing, like seeing kids do, is that play pretend, because you never know what is going to happen, whether you're drinking purple minion juice and you're becoming a purple minion, or, now you're a brachiosaurus, not a brontosaurus, a brachiosaurus.
Fair.
There's a big difference. My son will correct you adamantly. Or, you're pretending to be a werewolf, or, how the little girls back in the day used to know the full Elsa
Oh my
dance,
god.
and they would do it with such force, but then they would argue about who would be able to be the next Elsa.
Yep.
Like, I miss those moments, and I think kids need to get back to being kids.
Yeah. I agree.
So,
I think you telling that story made me remember my students wanted to play pretend that they were the adults and I
oh,
was the kid.
that's always fun.
And I was like, okay, what are we doing? And they said, I'll be the babysitter. Great. What are we going to do, babysitter? One of the kids picked up a block, talked into it, and said, TV, turn on Bluey. Okay, I'm going to go make some food. And walked away while I had to sit there and watch Pretend Bluey. And I was like, your babysitters don't do anything with you?
Oh yeah, it's telling when kids start playing pretend. If you really sit and listen, you learn a lot.
You will find some stuff out.
Oh yeah, little man and I, we go to my mom's once a week because I help her out with some stuff, and he goes up and he has to go upstairs into her home office, and he pulls up a chair and he'll look at her and he goes, "I'm working now." He does, and he pulls out his phone, like little pretend phone, and he's like, "Hello? Okay, sounds good. Bye." And like has all these phone calls. So again, I pray for his teacher next year, because this is, I mean, it's hilarious to see, but it's also like we're gonna become out workaholics and like
Yeah.
so. But I don't know how, if there really is a way to help kids tap into that imaginative pretend play, because not only does it help create those bonds of like, whether you're a teacher doing it with the students, whether you're a parent doing it with your kid, it does help provide a safe outlet. And I know you're looking into play therapy and going to school for it.
Yeah.
And it provides this, in my opinion, this blanket of safety in which kids are able to kind of tell you things without directly saying them, whether or not they
Yeah.
know the words to say it, they're going to show you. And again, I don't know what it means if my son likes to pretend to be a werewolf, but here we are being a werewolf, only outside and at home, not in Trader Joe's.
Right, because they have
Trader
the no
Joe's,
werewolves.
and he was
Right.
very disappointed with that sign. I mean, I know you can probably correlate and see the benefits of having experience with the littles and going into play therapy. Do you think, like, do you want to just work with the littles in play therapy, or do you want to expand and go up in age? I don't know if that's the right way to word that.
Yeah. I think I want to stay with the littles, especially with what you were saying, because they don't necessarily have the words to tell you what's going on. I
Mhm.
feel like once they're older, they get a better grip of that, and I think that's I'm just more personally interested in helping kids figure out what they're trying to say and what they're feeling, and so I think I want to stick with the littles in that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I completely can see that. It's, I think as teachers, we have to be a voice for children, and you stepping into play therapy, that's another way of not only advocating for students, but giving them a voice
Hmm.
in a safe environment with that,
Yes.
which I think is important. And I know we kind of squirreled into these conversations, but I think it all plays into, you are still having that connection with students and parents and all that. And while, yes, I've stepped away completely focusing on, my own child and maybe one day having more kids. And if I ever have the opportunity, I would homeschool in a heartbeat. I would
Right.
homeschool,
Hmm.
but also join a co-op so that students my my children are able to still socialize and get those important benefits from being around other kids.
Yeah.
So maybe one day.
And I think that's an important thing to take away. Just because you step away from education doesn't mean you have to entirely step away from helping kids.
You're
Because
right.
that's honestly, when I look back and think about it, that's what my passion has been, helping kids. And if you want to get into education to start, absolutely, because I really do think that being a teacher is going to help with my play therapy stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But if you're afraid to step away, it's okay to leave.
It's okay.
You are going to be okay. They are going to be okay. You need to prioritize you and your mental health
Yes,
first.
absolutely. It's gonna be okay. I was thinking about if there was a song that was
Probably.
probably, I just don't know it well enough.
But also, another important takeaway, don't let teaching define your worth because some people get very discouraged about how underappreciated teaching is, and they get discouraged that they are being underappreciated. I don't think that defines your worth by any means. Whether you
No.
stay, whether you go.
No, absolutely not. Like, yes, there are times where it is extremely underappreciated.
Mhm.
Like, there are huge, huge moments, but there are also moments, like these small moments that really make you see that you're not underappreciated, whether that be during Teacher Appreciation Week. I remember one of the best teacher appreciation gifts I have ever gotten was I got a bottle of wine,
Ooh,
a wine glass, and then an hour-long massage.
nice.
That was from one parent. That was one of the best gifts, but one of the best moments, I have probably I could think of in every kind of way of teaching, in every aspect. But I remember I worked at a religious school, and there was this little boy who would openly say he hates Jesus. Now, granted, I worked in a religious school. Saying that you hate Jesus, it does not go hand in hand.
No.
And this student would hold on to doorways and not go to specials. He would get combative. He would spit. He would bite. He would kick. You name it, he did it. He would say he hates Jesus in the middle of a service. When it was quiet, it was great. And it wasn't until the end of the year. And he drew a picture of him and Jesus holding hands. Yes, it took almost an entire school year where you felt like, especially if you were getting the brunt of the kicks and the hits and spitting and the biting, you felt very underappreciated. Like you were a punching bag. But then when he says that he loves Jesus and he drew a picture of him and Jesus holding hands, in your head, you're like, fuck yeah, that was all worth it. It was great. Like that story is still so, and that happened years ago.
Yeah.
So there's always going to be those moments. Like, and then I think the other one where, I always tried when I was like you and all the other girls, like boss, I always tried to figure out how to show my appreciation to you all in little ways, because there was a moment, and I think it was you, because I think I still have the video, you and that other teacher with the red hair. We loved her. It was when little man took his first steps.
I think it was me.
And I have that video, and it wasn't only me jumping up and down. It was both of y'all. Y'all were freaking out.
Yeah.
And it was those moments where you really, that a lot of times I don't think parents really see teachers have.
Yeah.
Now, granted, should I have that video clip? Probably not. But I do, because my boss there really, really liked me, and he gave me that so I would have it. Yes, that was the shameless flirting I did.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
Did what I did. But putting on the little competitions between you all to whether that was get a free lunch every now and then, to boost that morale, to make you feel a little bit more heard and seen and loved.
Yeah.
I don't know where I was going with all that, but
you're appreciated even if you don't realize it in teaching.
That's what it is. It's true. If, you might not see it, but really think about those little moments.
Yeah.
And you're like, yeah, we are holding hands with Jesus or whoever you believe in. I don't want to piss anyone off too badly about this, but, again, I should put a disclaimer. Parents, I'm not judging if you use tablets with your kids or if you do or do not have a relationship with Jesus.
Whatever
It's your
works
own life,
for you.
Boo-boo. Whatever works for you.
Exactly.
Happy, healthy, safe, loved.
That's all we care about.
And you should be too. Happy, health, safety, safe. If I can talk, and I know you're not going to cut that shit out either. As a educator, in whatever position you stand, you should be able to be in a healthy environment.
Yes.
And look for those little moments. If you are debating whether or not you want to leave, know that whatever you decide, you are going to be okay, and those kids are going to be okay.
Yes.
Thank you for coming to my TED Talk.
I think that is a good spot to wrap up the podcast for today. Also, wanted everybody to know that we now have a TikTok. If you can follow us on there, Things Teachers Say Pod. We do. We are popping over there, girl. We are popping. I'll show you. But yeah, give us a follow. Don't forget to rate, comment, all the good stuff. And remember, we don't lick our friends.
That was the huge takeaway.
Yeah, that was the
different
takeaway.
Podcast, but we do lick our friends.
Hey.
Podcast. And remember, we're going to shamelessly drop. Please check out Courtney's books. They're on Amazon, right? And
yes,
now about to be in a store.
Yes,
we have to shamelessly drop our each other sponsors. So here's the official. Please head over to Amazon and locate Things
preschool teachers really say,
and purchase yours today.
And also, don't forget to check out our other podcasts. Honestly, we're a mess, which I'm sure you guys got from listening to us, that we are in fact a mess.
Yes, and that first episode drops. It will be dropped. So go check it out on Spotify and Apple Music.
Yes. All right. See you next week.